All right. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to call the Moab City Council meeting to order on October 14th, 2025 at 6:01 p.m. And we'll start with the pledge, and Shaylee Bryant's going to lead us in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Shaylee. And now we will move to the public comment section of our agenda. We've got quite a full house. If anybody wants to speak, I need you to fill out a form. It's up here on the desk. And you're limited to 3 minutes per person. So we're going to start with you, Colin.
Okay. Or this guy. I'll just grab this. Start.
No, maybe he can just move and.
Oh, can we? Yeah, sure. You can use my table. Oh. Can I be city manager for?
I don't know if you want that job. Yeah. All right, Colin.
A little bit of show and tell. You can pass these around. Shall I start?
Yes, please do.
Okay, well, I was hoping that I could have a little more than 3 minutes because I have two very important issues to talk about. So I'll talk fast and hopefully we can get through them. The first one has to do with Walnut Lane, and I've shown some pictures around, and it's come to my attention the other night after the debate. I was talking with Mr. Topper, and he alleged that the reason that the 36 families were evicted and that the place was torn down and sits in the kind of disarray it was is because the health inspector had said that he was going to close it down. Well, I've been on the phone with Orion today, and he says that's not true at all. He said there were things that were dysfunctional, but that he never closed it down and never issued a citation. So you should get your story straight. And you should also be very ashamed of what that place looks like now. I don't know if you've been there lately, but it looks like something out of a war scene, Gaza. There's rodents living in the piles of trash. But on the other hand, other people are still living across the street and being okay. I know that park because I was trying to buy it, and I know about managing parks, and I know it can be done, and you guys have failed miserably. My second point, I have to keep moving along, is at that same meeting, Gillette was kind enough to spend some time with me, and I asked her about a situation that's just behind my house on Gala Avenue. It's a 5-acre parcel that's used as a community garden and also Seagull Lily that takes care of young kids and gives them a place to play and be in nature. There's a ditch that runs along the back of that fence that is an open ditch. It's been that way for years, and it can be very dangerous at times. During this last rainstorm, it was running very high, and there was a Mickey Mouse fence that the city put up some time ago, but it's always down. there's a bear that wanders up and down that area, and there's deer in there, and they're knocking it down all the time to the point that it's actually cut in half now. So you have young children right next to an open ditch that, if you've had any experience with young children, you'll know that you're best trying to keep track of them, and they can wander off. You have a liability there that is huge. Not only that, there's 240 feet of 5-inch culvert that's supposed to have been installed there to be part of the storm drainage. It's been sitting there ever since I moved in, which is going on 3 years now. When I asked the mayor about it, she said, "Oh, we took care of that. It's fixed." And I went, "Oh, I'll have to look more carefully because I've been working late." Well, I went home, nothing's changed. It looks exactly the same way it did 2.5 years ago. So it's another example of you guys not taking care of the citizens, not taking care of your responsibility, and not owning up to your failures. Thank you.
Thank you.
Colin.
Is there any press here tonight?
Sorry. Okay, so next up
Okay.
is Bill Agee.
Before we get started, I'd like to pass this out, Michael. I did make it out for you by accident. I'll send it to you digitally. It's a hard copy of all the petition letters that we've collected, the ordinances,
Thank you.
and even we'll have a webpage that forces and notifies people of speed limits. So, good evening. I'm here to speak on behalf of a concerned group of residents and visitors regarding OHV noise in Moab. But first, I want to thank the mayor, the city council, city manager, and chief of police. There he is. For the opportunity to meet, and in some cases multiple times, and discuss the challenges of reducing OHV related noise in Moab and the surrounding county. We fully appreciate this is a difficult matter. We think a solution is in place and achievable. Fortunately, the prior mayor, Emily House, and I apologize for pronunciation, and city council members have thoughtfully and with the guidance of Moab's city legal staff and technical experts passed ordinances that address noise and speed, specifically ordinances 2020-15 and 2021-7. Both ordinances were proposed in response to a historic number of public complaints to address the impact of excessive OHV noise in their community. Both ordinances passed unanimously. Both ordinances cited health-based studies where excessive noise is detrimental to public health, comfort, safety, and the welfare of residents. In addition to ordinance 2021-7, draws specific attention that people have a right to and should be ensured of an environment free of excessive noise. Both ordinances are very specific in terms of the impact of noise on public health and the public's right to be free of excessive noise. I have included those ordinances in your packets. As a result of the passage of these ordinances, some might say the heavy lifting has been done. Now is the time to implement these ordinances for the benefit of public health. Approximately 3 months ago, a small group of concerned citizens restarted the Make Moab Quiet Again online petition. The petition was intended to raise awareness that OHV-related noise has not improved and only worsened. Residents and visitors are frustrated that existing speed and noise ordinances have not been enforced. Sound experts emphasize that reducing speed will make a noticeable difference in OHV noise. 3 decibels matters. This is a logarithmic curve. 3 decibels matter. We're specifically asking the city officials to enforce existing speed and noise ordinances. In front of you are 3 petition letters with names and addresses. All signatories have been verified. Petition letters come from the following communities: Moab residents, Moab area residents, and Moab visitors. This is almost 500 signatures. To wrap matters up, there's no obvious reason that existing ordinances cannot be enforced. We want to remind everybody in elected and leadership roles that they have an obligation to the community's well-being, and we do not think we're being adequately served. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Next, we have Sarah Melancholy.
I don't have any handouts, sorry.
That's okay.
I would have brought some, but I wanted to speak to Luke first and tell him that the entire community is thrilled that your baby Arthur is home and safe.
Thank you.
And we mean that sincerely. And we're all there for him as he's growing up.
Excited for everybody to get to meet him.
Yeah, I started crying. I want Arthur to live in a world where he can hear the birds and the wind and the trees and hear the ants and the birds flying. It's impossible here with the loudest of the off-road vehicles. There are quiet ones. That's not my preferred mode of fun or whatever, but a lot of people enjoy it. They can enjoy it with the quiet mufflers. You know, I feel like I'm being assaulted multiple times a day because I'm out all the time working and I hear it constantly. I was at Dave's once last year. There were so many vehicles going so many directions. It created a noise NATO. I've never heard it again, thank God, but it was definitely palpable. So I just want a world where we can all enjoy what's around us, and especially little babies who deserve the best of what we can give them. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thanks, Sarah. And John Kovach.
I was told recently that this body doesn't have a lot of enthusiasm at the moment for trying to tackle the ATVs. I don't know whether that's true or not, but all I know is that everybody I know locally, if you asked what's the list of things that make you feel like your quality of life is going downward, they're at the top of everybody's list and always have been. And if you haven't been hearing much about it lately, I fear that we're becoming resigned to it, you know, and that's kind of, I hope that doesn't happen because, you know, I think that there are, you know, promising solutions to make a real difference. I wouldn't stress the speed thing myself because I'm not sure that's the heart of the problem. And it's a difficult and expensive thing to create new and significant enforcement. So, and I'm not sure that would even quiet things down. But what I would invite you to consider is the creation of an ad hoc advisory group to take a look at some, you know, especially longer term solutions you know, I think a lot of things haven't even been considered, but especially ones that we could get significant, you know, we have these rental outfits that are making good money from what I hear about what it costs to rent an ATV for a day, you know, I think they could be asked to contribute more in the way of how they in altering their business in ways that will make a difference. You know, a good example would be, you know, make the fleets put quiet mufflers on. You know, I mean, instead of having a thing, oh, we've got to test you and all that. You know, come up with a way to where the fleets, at least as they replace aging vehicles, you know, get new ones that have mufflers that we know are super silent, and they're out there and they're not that expensive. And especially if they weren't buying this, you know, I mean, it would be even less for them, you know, I mean, even for a private person, they're pretty reasonable, the new silent mufflers. I think it would be great to, you know, the electric ATVs have come a long way. They're still more expensive than gasoline for the most part, but that's offset quite a bit by the fact that they last longer, they're lower maintenance, severely less fuel usage.
Could you wrap it up? 3 minutes.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you.
You know, just some examples for me. And you know, well, that's a good place to stop. So.
Thanks, John. Anybody else would like to speak? Please come up if you could fill out a form so we have it on record and we get your name right in a minute.
My name is John Q. Public. I'll fill it out when I'm done.
Yeah, that's great.
I want to just make a point that I live at ground zero on Mill Creek Drive. And I want to give praise to some of the tour operators that bring the ATVs through. They're very quiet, they're very slow, they're very respectful of all the, and what I've noticed, it is usually the people from out of town who are going solo or riding with some friends. And it's the loudness of the vehicles. And if you don't believe that, come up and have tea or coffee with me and sit on my deck. I'll show you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
You know.
Do you want me to put my address down?
Sure.
Just Moab?
No, your address, because if you want us to come have tea with you, we need to know.
All right.
Thank you.
I'll do the same in just a second.
Yep.
Drake Taylor, I just wanted to say another personal story is that when we moved into our house in 2005, we used to enjoy a nice quiet yard. And since the OHVs have been legalized on residential streets, we have been forced to listen to them. And it was my choice, of course, I wouldn't have that. Every night when we said we like to eat outside, and guess what we have to do now? We have to listen to them. And we live on a quiet street. We live in a quiet neighborhood. I can't even imagine, like the fellow who was just up here who lives on Mill Creek, what that would be like, or the people who live on 4th East. But we hear them from 4th East and we hear them from Mill Creek, and we didn't used to hear them. And that's sad in my opinion. And it's not correct. It's not justified, especially when the public doesn't want this. Thank you.
Thanks, Drake. Anybody else? Yes, Josie.
Josie Kovash. I live on Locust Lane, also a little bit of the epicenter because they drive up Locust Lane and Mill Creek Drive, so I get stereo surround sound. John, my father, was very correct that it's not that the issue has gone away, it's that a lot of us have become resigned. I think in a lot of ways I'm like the frog that's half boiled. I just got so tired of fighting and being angry and depressed about the constant noise that surrounds my life all the time that I just had to kind of like compartmentalize it away, but it doesn't mean that it's gone away. We live in an era where there's so many large issues. I'm very concerned about people's ability to live affordably here, about, you know, ICE not taking over our town at the moment. There's so many things that feel way higher stakes, but it is true that when it comes to my day-to-day lived experience and that of my family, my 5-year-old daughter, when I read her books every night to put her to bed, it is to a cacophonous background sound of very loud ATV drones. And it's the kind of thing where sometimes we visit people that we know in cities and it's quieter because they live in a quiet neighborhood in a city. And then we come home and we go, right, we live in this very, very constantly loud, almost 24/7, just din of noise. I'm aware from being a public servant myself that the state has not made it easy, that the ATV lobby is deep-pocketed and litigious, and I empathize with all of yours, you know, experience of knowing what that looks like and how much it ties all of our hands. But I still think it's worth just continuing to find all the ways that we actually can manage and mitigate and advocate for our citizens, and state that this is still an issue that is alive and well, and it has not gone away, and it only continues to make all of our lives just that much less wonderful. So thank you.
Thanks, Josie. Anybody else? Okay, I'm going to close the public comment portion of our agenda and we'll move on to presentations. We have 2 presentations this evening, and I encourage you all to stay to learn about our Moab Free Clinic and our Moab Area Community Land Trust. So we'll start with Kate. She here? Oh, you're over there. It was like, I didn't notice that she was there. All right.
Well, thank you for the invitation to speak today. I appreciate the opportunity. I am Kate Jagla. I'm the Executive Director of the Moab Free Health Clinic, and I'm here with David Olson, our Development Manager. For those not familiar with the Moab Free Health Clinic, we provide free healthcare services to those uninsured and underinsured in the Grand County area. We offer primary care, mental health, dental, vision services. The list goes onwards, which I'm gonna go on in other slides, but we provide all of these services at no cost to our patients. An important part about our services is who we serve. So 54% of our patients work in the hospitality industry. So the hotels, food service, retail, recreation guides. 41% of our patients are Hispanic or Latino. And when asked where they would go if the MFHC did not exist, about 2/3 said they would go to the emergency room or not receive any services or at all. So just a little bit of background on our impact in 2024. We had 2,899 appointments and served just about 1,200 individuals, saving patients over $1 million in healthcare expenses. Our 2 biggest programs are primary care and dental. Our primary care is primarily with our primary care doctor, Dr. Rouser. And we also have monthly clinics as well with volunteer providers. This includes everything from wellness exam, ongoing treatments for chronic diseases, different specialty volunteers coming in, like internal medicine. We do blood draws, skin cancer screenings, and medication management, among other services. Dental program is our second most utilized service and definitely growing. I don't know if all of you have had trouble getting in with the dentist and dental hygienist, but it's definitely in demand, especially with just having 2 private dental offices in town, especially with they don't accept Medicaid or Medicare. So that's also definitely a barrier for our patient population. Even those who could get on Medicaid can't see the dentist in our town. We do everything from dental cleanings to x-rays, fillings, extractions, exams. I'm going to let David take over in terms of he's led our initiative to expand our dental program.
Talks about doubling down dental, and we have some grants listed on the next slide that that allowed us to do that. That means the dentist getting twice as many patients as we've had in the past, and him putting in twice the time with the dental assistant and more hours for our hygienist. As far as grants are concerned, we have about 6 or 7 for dental, including the Canyonlands Healthcare Special Service District, and you donate $15,000 a year for all our services, and we have some donors here also that help us out quite a bit. We apply for, I did the math on it, 9.5 grants per month for foundations and other sources to get funds to help pay for our services. So anyway, those are the amount of time that we spend. with the dental office, and the primary care has more action, and we're trying to get the dental up to speed with the primary care that we serve.
And we've saved patients almost $500,000 since 2021. And we've been growing every year. 2021, we had very few clinics, but now we have a part-time dental staff. Women's health is another area that we've been growing. We provide these services with female volunteer providers mainly, but we also have a partnership with BYU now, and they bring their nurse practitioner students down, and they also bring the boob bus because how fun to have a mobile mammogram mobile named that. But in a day and a half, we provided over 50 appointments to women, which included pap smears, mammograms, breast exams, and that was the inaugural year this year, and we just plan to expand upon that. The program with BYU is especially for our uninsured women who can't see a preventive care provider. This is another fun picture. STI testing is always fun. But we do provide STI testing as well as HIV, hepatitis C, syphilis, chlamydia, gonorrhea, counseling, access to PrEP, which is an HIV prevention medication, free condoms, birth control options. We are a site that people feel very comfortable accessing for this service. People feel very safe in like a confidential area receiving the service. We also have a growing mental health program. This includes counseling with volunteer providers. We started a new resident rotation, a psychiatric resident rotation with the University of Utah recently. So now we have 2 residents coming on a monthly basis to provide services to our patients. We have a partnership with Jackie's Recovery Services, Support Services. They provide counseling in Spanish to our Hispanic Latino population, and we also do referrals to local providers. This is another area that we're working on getting more therapy. David just got us a grant to get a practicum student for social work and psychology. So we're really trying to build this program and build in some more specialty services for our patient base. If you haven't volunteered for this program, you should go volunteer. I do have a QR code at the end, so get your phone out. So we partner with the Hope Alliance to hold vision clinics about 3 times a year. Patients receive free eye exams and glasses at these clinics. We also have reading glasses available in our lobby. These are pretty big clinics that happen over a couple of days, and we get through probably 100 patients during the 3 days they're here. They also go see they go to HMK Elementary School as well. So we have a partnership with the school district as well. So the kids who are not able to see in class, they're also getting glasses. So that's great that we have this service. Patient navigation is also a really big program we have. I don't know if any of you have had trouble navigating healthcare services. It's hard, even for someone who maybe is knowledgeable about healthcare. So we do have a dedicated patient navigator. She helps with financial assistance applications and advocacy, prescription assistance programs, connections with referrals, outside specialists, referrals to community social services. So everything that really connects into someone's healthcare is a service that Mo provides to these patients. So really anyone can come into our facility. If you're confused about your healthcare, we'll help you get to the right place. Something that is more recent is our homeless outreach services, street outreach program, which we do with Moab Solutions. So we do weekly outreach at the Episcopal Church. We distribute health, hygiene, harm reduction supplies. We also do free showers at our facility for homeless individuals, prescription medication storage, drop-in navigation services. We also have a jail outreach program that we have started with Moab Solutions to help homeless individuals that came in to jail homeless or maybe coming out of jail homeless to get some services to help them hopefully avoid going back to homelessness. The Moab Community Resource Center is something the Moab Free Health Clinic developed in 2023. This is a list of our resource center partners, which this list is growing. We do have some space for rent. So if anyone knows anyone who is in need of space, you can hit me up. So just a couple of action items to stay connected. We do have a monthly newsletter that goes out. We don't bombard you with a bunch of information all the time. So you can know you'll only receive one email from us a month. I mentioned the Vision Clinic. It's a great way to get involved and to kind of see what's happening at the clinic and also get acquainted with our facility. So I also have a QR code for that. And because why not? Ways to give. We do have an online donation page, and we do have our annual fund coming up in November. Any questions?
Questions for David or Kate?
Does Hope Alliance utilize used frames or anything like that?
Oh, in terms of can we use like old?
Can we bring our old frames and will they refurbish them and utilize those?
Yes, you could bring your old frames.
Okay.
No, I just say thank you. I didn't realize all that under one roof. It's
Yeah.
pretty amazing.
Yeah, if you guys want a tour, you should go. I did a tour a month or so ago. It's amazing. And there's a lot more donations that they get than they talked about tonight. So I would encourage you guys to work with these guys and get in there and see what they do. Pretty remarkable. We're very fortunate. Go ahead, Caitlin. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll echo that. Also just, being at the community resource center, it's been really great for me, for us professionally. And I wanted to know also with homelessness, I think the way that you all are collaborating, not just with Moab Solutions, but with MVMC and other partners is amazing. I think Mo said you offer laundry service now as well.
Yes, we do.
Which is great. I don't have any specific questions. I feel like I watch you operate a lot and just really appreciate what you do. So thanks for presenting tonight.
Well, thank you for the time.
I guess since you guys work across so many like cross sections of our community, and particularly with like the groups that are in like the greatest need, like what capacities do you think like you and those groups of people can use more support from like the city as like an entity?
That is a good question. I mean, the thing that comes to mind first, but which would probably come to mind to any nonprofit organization, is funding.
Yeah.
But I know that's not always a possibility in terms of that. I do appreciate the city's involvement, even in like the local homeless coalition and having that like touch point. I think having touch points in general from city to different coalitions and organizations really helpful. There is, I guess throwing it out there, there is some funding opportunities that perhaps we could use support from the city. But I know we have received letters of support in the past, so we appreciate that.
Right. If anything at any point like pops into your brain, just feel free to reach out. Right, because I think like there are opportunities. Like I think one of the best parts of Moab is that like creative collaboration that happens like amongst nonprofits and like other entities in terms of like being able to solve seemingly unsolvable problems. Like I've seen that happen kind of over and over again. And I think potentially having the support or like access to certain other types of resources that might not be like funding based or whatever. I think is kind of leveraging what exists within the community, including the city resources, like is something that I'd love to explore with you guys.
No, definitely. One thing that pops into mind actually as you were talking, Jet Dental, that comes to see your employees for dental services. That could be an interesting collaboration. I did speak with their representative the other week about how they come to Moab Regional Hospital in the city And there could be something in there that we could get some more dental services for our community.
I do have one
Sure,
other
go
question. So as we all know, government shut down, and I'm hearing that insurance rates are about to go up. I guess as a clinic, how are you looking at next year, kind of all of these impacts and how that's going to impact your organization?
We're definitely looking at it with health insurance increases, Medicaid cuts, all of these factors that are going to leave more people uninsured. And thinking in terms of increasing our capacity. Of course, increasing capacity also takes money to do. So that is something that we're definitely focused on in this next year, bringing on more volunteer providers in particular. The thing with volunteers is sometimes consistency is not the same as paying for a provider. So expanding our services in that way, especially our primary care appointments, we see that demand probably the most in terms of people trying to get in for primary care. So that's one area that we're definitely working on. Mental health. I mean, I'm sure all these cuts are going to impact people's mental health. So that is another big area that we have recently received funding on that we're actively working on as well.
There's some positive things coming out to the big, beautiful bill, the Royal Healthcare Transformation Fund. So if we were to get that, that would be a big deal.
Right.
Big.
What about you?
I just have one comment. And when you showed the statistic that said 54% of your clients work in hospitality, I realize in our town there is a lot of hospitality that's mom and pop organizations, and I realize that health insurance or health care for those employees is next to impossible. They operate on a really small profit margin. I just wonder about the Hyatts and the Radissons and the hotels that are here that are charging literally hundreds of dollars a night. And they are relying on a small town nonprofit to provide health care for their employees, which I find really disturbing. That has nothing to do with you. It's just, I find it truly unacceptable that international companies are behaving that way.
Yeah, I do find it interesting in terms of there are some hotel chains that they are offering their employees insurance, but they're offering it, you have to pay this percentage of it, and people just can't afford that.
Yeah.
25-30% of paying for the health care. So they have to opt out because they're paying for all these other expenses. So some organizations, they are providing health insurance, but it's just not meeting the needs of the population.
I know.
I think that is like an important thing to highlight, is just like how important your organization is to kind of the overall economic health of the community. Like, because there are a lot of low income workers that really are like the heart and soul of a lot of the businesses that are part of the tourism industry here. And they are the ones that like don't have access to like consistent healthcare. And so like them being able to meet their medical needs allows them to like be on the job and actually to be able to like accommodate all of the different tourists and visitors that we have coming through, and kind of keeping our golden goose running, I guess.
No, definitely. We recently applied for a grant, a mental health grant, and through research learned that individuals with mental health concerns are 4 times more likely to miss work than their counterparts without those diagnoses. And our patient stats, about a third of them would be are diagnosed with moderate to severe depression, about the same amount for anxiety. So our patient population's among those who are under perhaps a little bit more stress than your typical individual.
Right. So you think about it, that's 10 to 12% of our population relies on the free clinic for their health care. That's a lot.
It is
I just thank you guys so much. Really appreciate what you do. The Canyons Healthcare Special Service District is on alert. We know that there may be some cuts coming. And so, you know, hopefully we'll be able to be prepared to take care of you guys with some more resource if needed. And also, if you need any letter of support or anything with the Rural Health Transformation Act bill, that funding that's available, let us know. We'll be happy to provide you with a letter of support as we have in the past.
Great.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, you
Appreciate it.
guys. Good to see you.
Thanks.
And you guys do a tour if you have a chance.
Yes, please take a tour and I
Yeah.
offer that to everyone.
All right. Next, we have the Moab Area Community Land Trust, and we have Shaylee and Sherry and Laura here to talk to us about the good work that they're doing with our housing. And just, you know, everybody knows Caitlin Myers is the executive director. There's no action, so she's gonna stay on the dais. She doesn't need to recuse herself, and if she needs to throw in a comment or two, we don't have a problem with that either. So.
We'll plan on it.
Yeah.
Hi,
Hi.
we're just here to update you because it's been quite a while and I don't know when you were out to Royal Crossing last, but it's pretty amazing out there. It's we've been super successful in taking a dream that started in 2012 and having an opportunity to move it forward in 2018. And we actually didn't start building, but we started the infrastructure in 2020. And 5 years into it, we have 100 people in homes there.
Okay.
And it's going to be a total of 300. It's over 40 acres. So we thought we'd just give you just a brief history and a quick update so you know what we're doing as a community that's really working well. And I think people are extremely happy with the direction that we've been able to take people in. So the land trust is actually, we acquired 40 some acres, just under 50 acres. Here's our site plan. Moved this site plan through the county with a combination of single family homes, which is the yellow, the apartments, which are dark brown. There's twin homes, which are the little biscuit looking things. And the townhomes are on Spanish Valley Drive. So you see those long, skinny, look like railroad cars on both sides of the road. That's Spanish Valley Drive. And then the street at the bottom is Bonnie's Way that goes out to the highway. So we have, we have all we have phase one completed. We have do we have 160 homes currently in order? No, we will have. Yeah, we have over 100 homes going. And this is what we'll have in the end. We have 3 little commercial, the little purples are commercial opportunities. And what's built right now are 32 apartments. All the yellow single family homes that are in the middle, a bunch of the little twin homes. On the far left is just going in this next year, that'll be rentals, apartments. And and we're only 5 years into it. And we already have that much going on. How we did it was we had the land donated, and then we were able to go and get new market tax credit loan at a very low rate. And that put in the infrastructure. And the key that makes this work when other things didn't work was that you actually don't buy the land, you buy a 100-year lease. And some people go, well, why do you do that? It's so that we can deed restrict the property. Because what was happening is people were building homes and then USDA gave them a cheap loan and then they go and flip the house to Aspen and make all the profit and take off. So this way they get a 100-year lease and it's deed restricted. And those deed restrictions are things like you're in a certain AMI, different parts of the project have different AMIs, average median incomes. You have to work in Moab, or you can retire there if you have worked there previously, and you can only make a certain profit. So you can't just have a windfall when you sell it, because the trust is basically putting the land under you at a very inexpensive rate. And that way, that's how we're gonna perpetuate it. It's gonna be permanent, it's gonna be attainable. And it can stay there for generations, and people can keep living there and work here.
Did want to quickly bring up the permanent word. That's something that we've thrown around a lot as a board, because everyone uses the words affordable, right? Hear those trigger words, affordable, workforce, and it's really hard to define. You know, we are unique, and I think every small community every rural community has uniqueness to them, and we don't want it to be just affordable. We want it to be permanently attainable. I've been on a whole bunch of boards with the county, the chamber, and being a business owner here. And I was on the EOAB board, and I heard Aurora Crossing's name a lot when we were helping look at grants. And I didn't know much about it. I thought it was, oh, cool, it's a cool project. Not sure what to see from it. But as I started diving into it and got to know the land lease, having clients that brought the land lease saying, is this a good idea for me to build here? Is this a good plan? And I poured over the land lease and got to know it. And as I started to really understand what Macwolt was really trying to create here, it became so meaningful to me, because I have kids in this community and I've watched my friends that their kids graduate high school and there are no options. There's no options for them to stay here. We have a problem with good jobs and we have a problem with housing. And so it became really near and dear to my heart of going, okay, how do I make it so that families don't have to leave? How do we help with that financial piece and the housing? And so that's what made me get really involved. And I'm realizing more and more that Aurora Crossing is just the beginning. And that is where it's been really hard. As a community, everyone wants Macwolt to be, oh, that's Aurora Crossing. It's one project and they're done. Why do they need support anymore? As we dove into the research of like looking at what Aspen's doing, and I love to use them as an example because they give these huge tax credits to their residents to voluntarily deed restrict their properties. That's how they're keeping their prices down. Obviously that would hurt us tax wise, and we're already struggling financially as a community. So how do we do this in a way that's not necessarily offering up those tax credits and hurting us financially as a city and as a county? And this is a way it allows us to have some options with, maybe we partner with some of the citizens for estate planning that don't have next of kin. They don't have kids to leave their property to. Well, it'd be really great to be able to leave it to a nonprofit that will then deed restrict it and be able to give an affordable and attainable housing. There's lots of options like that. Donations of homes. That's a huge tax write-off since we're a nonprofit. Being able to voluntarily deed restrict their house is also an option. And so us getting the word out is pretty important. I think people need to understand what we do. And so that's part of the thing, is the education piece, is we want to start opening discussions with the municipalities, have consistent discussions, things that are happening monthly, not annually or every other year. We want to make sure those discussions are pertinent to what the community needs, because we don't see everything.
And we have a very specific 5-year plan, strategic plan, and we have Aurora Crossing pretty much set up. We focused on that because it was so big and it was so diverse. We wanted to be sure it was highly successful. We've taken all the things that we've learned from it and we're distilling it. And now we're looking at what's next. What do we need next? And that's what we want to use, the city and county's experience to say, okay, here's what we think we need next. And let us use our expertise, our communication skills, our contacts to put it together the next project. Because this, yes, we're going to have 600-700 people in there. We already have $40 million worth of infrastructure. We'll have over 100 million when we're done. It's a big project, but it's not going to fix it. It's not going to fix the town. It's a big chunk, but we know we have more to do, and we think we have the expertise to move it forward. So however we can partner with all of you, and we got into this together. You got in Walnut Lane at 2018, well, before most of you. And, that's something that maybe we have some expertise that we can throw out and do some brainstorming.
We need to clean it up.
But we would, we'd be happy to try and pass on that expertise. And I think it was great that it's been sitting there for a while so that we can see what do we really need? Because there's a lot happening in this whole area right now, and what is the next need? And let's fill it.
And while land trusts are not a new concept, we are the largest land trust in Utah, and we are in the top largest land trust in the country. It's one of the big things that we want is maybe not just have it be that we're creating things for our community, but also teaching the rest of the world, the countries, how to do this so that we can say, do it like Moab. Look at how Moab fixed their housing problem. And we want to be able to brand that and be able to go around and be advocates and teach it, because it's not just a problem here. I just went to Amsterdam a month ago. It's one thing they all talked about. They have a housing problem. They're building up and things are sideways and crooked because they just don't have enough housing for their youth. So it's not just here, right? This is a bigger problem.
Well, I don't know if you know, but they flew Caitlin back to DC to do a presentation on what we were doing right here this last year. So people are noticing, and we're really proud of. I think we hit on something that's going to work and be permanent, which is the big key for us. And there's rental. It's about half of it's going to be rentals, half of it's going to be ownership. I can't remember if I told you that. And so we just need to know what we need to do next.
We do range from 80% AMI to 120. We do
I
feel
think
like
actually
we're covering-
70. We're down.
We're down to
do some
70
70.
now.
Yeah.
We also do a stewardship piece, which is pretty cool. We're partnering with the residents to help them learn what's next with owning a home and how they get in a financial position to own a home and then get to the next steps. We have an Arroyo Crossing board that manages themselves and does community events and newsletters. So we're a big advocate of, it's not just, oh, okay, we give you a house, bye, good luck, have fun.
Hope you can make the payment.
Yeah, we're definitely trying to create an envelope. We just did our first resale, and our whole board was like on top of like really supporting them trying to resell it, because we know it's a stressful process. So we're doing everything we can to support our residents as well.
I would really like to see our community embrace this. I think you guys are trying really hard to do the education piece and teach people, and I think that's great. I don't know how you teach people to learn and to accept.
That's always a hard one, right?
Yeah, but I think there are so many misconceptions out there about Arroyo Crossing and what it does and how it operates. It's kind of unfortunate that people haven't embraced it more fully.
Well, and a little bit to us, we were so busy having our heads down trying to make it happen. Remember, this is a nonprofit board. We had nobody with not a paid position until 3 years ago. We were all doing it as the nonprofit board out of our own time and money. And we just, it had to succeed. And this is personal for me. I was on the original Economic Development Board in 1983 when we said, how are we ever going to make Moab a town again? And now here we are, and I'm going, well, there's no way I'm going to, leave this earth with people not being, the citizens not being able to live in Moab. It's just was not part of the concept. And we just need to, so we had our head down. Now we can breathe, and we want to educate. And as partly you can take that information back to people too and say, oh no, here's why it's a lease. And it's a 100-year renewable lease. So you can have 200 years. How long do you want? It's just the purpose is purely to be able to restrict it so that it can be in perpetuity.
And we also want to make it clear, we are
And
not
work.
developers. I know that's been a common misconception. We are not the developers. We don't want to be the developers. So we're actually creating jobs for developers, and we're doing everything we can to keep that work local. We've partnered with Give, HASU, Community Rebuilds, TLC, UHC. So we're doing everything we can to keep that work local. But we are not developers. We're like the planners.
We're developing the horizontal.
Yeah,
We're developing
the infrastructures.
Could you guys explain the property tax? I hear that a lot when I've been out and about this fall. People have this misconception that they're taking, that because of this, they're paying more property tax than the people that own their property in Arroyo Crossing.
So the land itself is in a nonprofit.
Right.
So the land itself, and please correct me if I don't explain this properly. The land itself is not taxable because it's a nonprofit. everything's sitting on top of the land. So every house, every garage, everything on that is just like your taxes, which is the majority of the taxes in the house. It's not in this teeny little piece of land that the people have to stuff their house into, because we did, it's a pretty small site.
And the majority of property taxes comes from
The house.
the
So
house.
That's
Yeah, there's
So
very
the
the rest
building
pays the
on the
house.
Right.
Got it.
Great. Thank you.
So yes, it does reduce it. We don't want to like hide away from that
Sure.
or shy away from discussing that, but it is also what helps us control the price increases.
Right.
That we're permanently making these homes attainable. The first resale, they still got a pretty good amount of equity, a normal amount of equity for selling a house after 2 years. They still ended up ahead. They put capital improvements into it. They still had a lot of leeway, but it still made the house resellable. It didn't become a $700,000 house in 2 years.
And that
They
property
pay
tax
tax on it.
arrangement does seem very fair in the big picture with them building equity.
Mhm.
I'm really curious about the commercial properties and how they'll be developed and.
Us too, actually.
We're waiting, we're looking.
Yeah,
There's
we are
not a plan.
definitely open to discussions and people coming to us. We've had some really good ideas on the board for some different things we could do, but we are open to serving the community with people that want to.
So at one point it was, there was, should we do childcare? But now that's pretty well taken care of other places. So that's not a big need. We're getting ideas. Somebody said, oh, let's do a moonflower out there and with a coffee shop and something that serves the community, that keeps people from having to drive to town.
Talked about co-working spaces and a commissary kitchen potentially.
A shared commissary.
It's such an exciting opportunity because we created such an amazing community to evolve in that space, and that commercial node will only enhance that and be able.
Can you
to
go
keep
back to
people
the slide?
in-
plan?
Well, and it's so funny story. So our community board,
The two little purple squares are the commercial.
Yeah.
they don't have a huge budget, but their community board had a tumbleweed problem. And they had a pretty hefty budget on how to take care of the tumbleweeds. Instead, they went and found this wonderful gentleman who rents his goats. And they literally put his goats on different parts of the community so that there was no, sprays or anything like that was getting chemicals with kids, because there's a ton of kids. It's a community garden. But it was kind of fun. We went out and played with the goats while they were eating all of the weeds and tumbleweeds. It was kind of awesome. Yeah.
You can make a petting farm with goats.
I mean, I personally love goats. So I just.
So to your point, you got any ideas? We're there now. We're ready to,
We'd like to start this.
that's part of phase
Absolutely.
3.
Yeah.
How can we support?
We're
the
just
city?
finished phase 1. We're working on phase 3, which is the apartments in that area over there. And then we're ready to go.
We'd love to talk about Walnut Lane.
That discussion will take place later.
But
Any other questions for these folks while they're here?
What is the commercial zone?
C3?
Do you know? Are they-
They're currently MFR, they're multifamily, they would need
Yeah.
a rezone. to do
We'd
the
have
full
to
commercial.
rezone it. Yeah, we'd have to rezone it.
Anything else? Go ahead.
One more thing, I did learn today at a Trail Mix meeting that from the county that all of the easements and land acquisitions have been acquired for the paved path that will connect Arroyo to our trail system in town.
And we were the first ones to put in the paved path on our.
Yes, you were. Yeah, then you took it out.
Then you took it out.
It's horrifying. They-
Oh, we-
Let it- it's horrifying.
Yeah, that happens. That happens.
really?
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much for,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anybody else?
No.
All right. Thanks, you guys.
But you know how to
Thanks
get a hold of us, so.
We do.
Call and drive by.
And we have contact with the executive director all the time.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Thanks
for
so
your time.
much. You
Yeah.
bet. Alrighty. Two great
Absolutely.
presentations tonight.
Yeah, thanks.
A lot of good work going on in our community. And that's just two. So, all right, next we have a department head update. Well, it's not, it's Michael department and Patrick. Yeah, both. Yep. This is a Center Street Ball Field redesign project and renaming request to the Glen Richardson Ball Fields. We all received a letter back in August from the family. As we all know, Glenn passed away this summer. And that letter's in your packet. And we felt like we really wanted to we're getting ready to move forward with the redesign. We thought it was a good opportunity to update you guys on where we're at in that process and then how we would go about renaming one of our facilities. So
So Patrick will go over the RFP really quick, and then I'll just address some of the, just talk about a policy for park naming and talk about this request that was received.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. I just have a few slides tonight. I thought this was a good opportunity to update you on where we're at with this RFP. On mute for the online. Nope, I won't. So, put the RFP out on September 22nd. Savannah, our grant writer, was instrumental in helping me with this. So, kudos to her on that. Just a couple of main components that we're getting with this RFP. Broke it down. Site analysis, master planning. So, look at the current conditions and see kind of what we're up against. I've got a slideshow, or I've got a on the next slide a breakdown of the time frame. This community engagement process will kind of be throughout. I didn't include that, but that's going to be ongoing, similar to like with the Parks Master Plan, where we'll have open houses and to give the community an opportunity to weigh in on what we're looking for. And just backing up, this was identified in the Parks Master Plan, the Center Street ball field redesign, as being a community priority, and then it was echoed by this council. So we're super excited to get this project started. The couple other elements will have the design. The usage obviously will not change. This will be athletic facilities, but everything will be considered, all the infrastructure, all the utilities. It's all aged to the point that it's just all needing to be redone. And hoping to include some additional components like civic space and other things to this. And this RFP will get us construction documents, permit ready submittals, and kind of everything under the sun to get this project going. We were excited that over 20 firms attended the mandatory pre-proposal meeting on September 29th. So there's a lot of interest out there. We did have a question period that ended in early October, and now we're to the point of the timeline here. So as I mentioned, September 22nd, it went out, had our meeting on the 29th. That was very successful, and we've got until November 13th to get these proposals in. And then a time period for the review, followed by an award. And these dates and times are pretty open. We don't have hard dates on some of these December items. In December of 26, we'll have the final documents due. And again, some of this is tentative, but this is what we put out there in the RFP. And again, just excited to get things rolling.
Yeah. So a big part of that between December and December, because it will take a little bit of time. A big part of that is scoping the public and talking to the public about what they think should go in there, and going through that process, making sure we're getting support, having neighborhood meetings, presenting to the council, talking to the planning commission, all those types of things. And so it'll take a little bit of time, but it'll be worth it. And having 20 people show up to a mandatory bid meeting is a pretty good indication. Or 20 firms, not just 20 people, 20 firms show up. That's a pretty good indication that we're going to get some bids on this, some proposals, I should say.
Mm-hmm. And I think the other exciting thing too is we'll be able to achieve some of these goals, like with the lighting. One of the main complaints we get is the shielded lighting and the non-dark sky compliance and different things like that. Some of the newer technology with the lights is really cool and will be a lot more direct onto the fields, not spilling out into the neighborhoods. So yeah, a lot of things.
All right.
Yeah. Any questions on it?
So when is community feedback here?
It'll be between December 2025 this year and December 26. So we'll have a 12-month period where we are going through the process and scoping. Scoping's generally the first part that we go through, and so probably we're looking at January, February, March, April time frame where we're going to be doing that scoping.
Okay.
So the city council will approve the bid award in December?
Yeah, it'll be the
great.
proposal. That'll be the award for the consultant who will do all the scoping, design work, all of that kind of stuff. So.
Good.
We're moving.
Sorry. A lot of these elements that we try to include in the RFP, as far as features that we're looking for in the new facility were features that were identified by the community as part of the Parks Master Plan open houses. And we're just seeing if we can incorporate that into this. It's like some civic space and different things like that.
So with the goal to be, it's like starting construction in like February, March 27,
Well,
or
so that, I mean, that would be great. So we have a budget, we'll have a budget that we'll be planning in early 2026. That budget, by the time we're planning that budget, and certainly by the time you approve that budget, we'll have a good indication of where we are and what the time frame is for this project, for the design. And at that time, we could be talking about when we'll be budgeting, hopefully, for the construction and where that money's going to come from, if that's going to be in the fiscal year that's coming up next or the fiscal year after, and where that money's coming from, things like that. So to answer your question, I think we could be to the point in January of 27 where we have the ability to go out to bid for construction. I think it'll probably come down to a matter of funding and planning that, putting that into the process with all of the other projects. And but it could be ready to go. If all those things fall into place, it could be ready to go in the spring of 27.
It is also gonna be an interesting with the demand of the
Right.
fields to try to, coordinate that.
That's what I was
too,
wondering if it
because,
like makes sense to push it off till September, October, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've looked a little bit at that just in a preliminary standpoint of, interruption in services for our youth programming and partnering with the school district to, and the county to use their facilities in the interim. And we've sort of already planted that seed, like this is a possible future project. Could we partner so we didn't have that interruption in services? And we've got a good relationship with those entities, and I don't foresee that being an issue. Yeah.
Thanks,
Great.
Ben.
I guess that's one question as we're looking at this. We just supported potentially pickleball courts. I'm wondering, and this is probably something that we will figure out as we're going through the process next year, but how this ties into, partnerships with other facilities if we look at rescoping what is here versus at the arena, or how we work with the rec department, how that changes programs. A lot of opportunity.
Yeah, I'm sure we're gonna hear from a lot of people what they think could be possible there and what should not be possible there.
Yes.
So
Pretty
it'll
sure-
it'll definitely be a good conversation.
I'm pretty sure there's not going to be a museum there.
No museum.
No museum.
Good.
No performing arts center. Not that
maybe.
that's not a good thing.
There might be, because
But-
we do have concerts there, so. Anyway, any other questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, Pat, I just want to say thanks for initiating this. And I, even in my time raising children in Moab, I've seen the use and the demand and just the different uses change and evolve over that time for this very important amenity. And I don't think Luke can even appreciate at this point how many nights he's going to spend at those ball fields at some point. So I think this is a really exciting process to see how the community comes out and how they want that space developed to meet their needs. Really excited for it. Thank you.
No, thank you.
And then I'd just like to point out too, that going back to the Glenn Richardson, that as this process evolves, it's that we can work towards seeing if there is community support for doing this, which I think there probably is, but it's not, the community is not, put back on the back burner. It's still very much a part of this. It just may not,
Right.
you.
So I can jump into that right now if you'd like. We did receive a request to rename the fields to the Glenn Richardson's fields. And that's not an uncommon thing in cities. That happens all the time, especially when you have very influential people who have been around a long time and had a lot to do with what happened in those fields. Most cities will have a policy though of renaming, and it just goes over a couple of key points. And I'll just go over those really quick. And what I would suggest is that with this, we take this recommendation, which we have received, or this proposal that we have received, and we work it into this process. We work it into the process of the redesign, keeping it in mind the entire time. It's already been acknowledged, and we'll make sure that it continues to get discussed. But there's lots of different things that can be discussed through the process of this project. Like, For instance, is it the entire field or a portion of the field? Is it, how do we name it? Is it, what does it look like? All that kind of stuff. Luckily, it's not been named for anybody else. So that's a good thing. So it's just the ball fields or the Center Street ball field. So it's a good candidate for renaming it if everybody ends up agreeing that this is the right thing to do. But just to go over 5 really quick points that a facility naming policy would have. The first is that they'll only be renamed under exceptional circumstances where the entire city council supports it, where there's a lot of community support, and it's potentially culturally significant to the community. But in that process, also, you need to acknowledge that once it's named, and it does have one of those names, that it shouldn't change either unless it was planned to change. So you protect those parks that are already named. Again, this one, it just has a generic name at this point. So the new names could under individuals or groups, but it's the group or the individual that has a strong community tie to that park. Usually, a lot of times it has to do with how much time they spent at the park through volunteering, how influential or instrumental they were in getting the park developed in the first place, or redeveloped, or continuing on, things like that. In some cases, a park might be named for the person who donated the land or someone who gave the money to develop the park. I won't go through all of them actually because they are a little bit redundant, but it would be a public process. We'll skip over that one. We also need to consider, like I said, what are the other options? The memorials and donations as well. What if a lot of people want to donate to the park? Should we look at bricks or an honorary wall or benches, or being able to name the bathrooms, the drinking fountain, the bleachers, things like that? So we look at all of those things as well. And we want to make sure they don't conflict either. So if we're going to decide to name a park after a particular person or group, we want to make sure that we're not working against that by naming other portions of that, or have that as part of the plan when we go into it. So it could be the XYZ park with the ABC rose garden, something like that. So, or not, just that we know when we're going into it. And then the last thing is that it come through a public process, and that the city council is the body that approves renaming of facilities. So that's really simply what a park naming or facility naming policy would look like. And I do think that we need one. It's nothing that prevents anybody from making proposals. It just gives a little bit of guidance of how those proposals move through the process. And it doesn't become a bureaucratic process. It comes right to the city council ultimately to make that decision.
Perfect.
Yeah, so questions about that?
Do we have a policy or we need to create?
We're gonna create one. And so, Michael, I think it'd be great if you could start working on that policy, because I think that's something that we have a lot of people in our community that probably deserve to be something to be named after them. So it'd be great to have some guidance on how we go about doing that. So
Sure.
yeah, we could have that on one of our upcoming meetings in the January, February, March timeframe. That would be awesome.
No problem.
I will petition to have the bathrooms named after myself.
I was gonna say that. I thought that having the Jason Taylor bathroom would
Yeah.
be a really, really good one.
Not the drinking fountain.
Yeah, not the- All right, thanks, Patrick. Anything else?
No, that's all for me. Thank you.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yep,
Patrick.
great. This is exciting. I'm looking forward to this process. It's gonna be good.
So much, yeah.
All right, we have 4 items on our consent agenda this evening. One is 5.1 Bully Prevention Month proclamation. I will not be reading that tonight because I will be reading that at HMK on the 23rd when they have their assembly. 5.2 is the approval of a franchise agreement ordinance with Enbridge Gas Company, and that is an extension of an agreement that we have already. It's just updating the provisions in that agreement. There's nothing really significant, and there's no fiscal, there's nothing.
No expenditures.
Thank you. So, and we have budgeted for this, but there's nothing different there. The 5.3 is approval minutes of September 23rd regular meeting, and the approval of bills against the city of Moab in the amount of $1,344.74. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Tani,
I'll second.
second by Caitlin. Any discussion? Tani?
Not really. I just want to point out when I was reading the proclamation, it refers to children a lot, and we have to remember that bullying happens in grown-up settings too. And it's not acceptable either.
Right. Thank you.
Amen.
Was requested by the that elementary school, so
Yeah,
that's why the
I know.
focus is on children,
Yeah.
but you are correct. Caitlin, any discussion?
No, I think it's a good idea. The existing Enbridge contract is from 1997, so love to update, and I'm just assuming that it's gonna be kind of all the terms, everything's gonna be the same. It's just updating that.
Yeah, everything's the same. As far as the way the city gets paid, the city charges a energy tax, and the energy companies collect that and then pay that to the city. This doesn't affect that. That was passed through another ordinance. I include that ordinance so you guys could see that. All the terms are just up to date. And it also comes into compliance with the way that we want our roads constructed, or our roads worked on or patched after they work on, and how we want to be contacted and things like that, how we work with Enbridge. And Enbridge has been really good to work with. I think this will just help us to make sure that we have a good guide of how we continue to work together.
Great. All right, motion by Tani, seconded by Caitlin. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. All right, moving on to general business. Our first item is a consideration of a contract award with a By Brothers Construction in the amount of $1,997,770.01. Wow. For the 2022 NRCS EWP Mill Creek Bank Protection Construction Project. And this is the gabion baskets. You remember hearing about that, that are going to be on private property. And not everybody's agreed to allow us to do these gabion baskets. Mark is going to give us a presentation on that. This is a grant that we received from NRCS. We have to come up with 25% of this grant, which we have it budgeted. It's in our CIP.
Okay, so yeah, so little background on this. This is funding that was awarded after flooding way back in 2022. We had some setbacks along the way, but we kept it moving along. We bid the project out earlier this year. We got 3 bids, low bid that we were getting ready to award, but then we had a little hiccup with our grant agency there that was NRCS for that. We had sort of missed a step in their review. And it turns out that they didn't review it at the level that they were supposed to have. So we had to go back through that process that has put it on hold between that original bid and now. So that's why we're coming back to you now. Our low bid did come in a good bit over our original budget estimates. That was a budget. I want to emphasize there that wasn't our engineer's estimate. That was just the original estimate that we put together just for the granting, just for the grant purposes. Our engineer's estimate was not terrifically far off, but was still below the low bid. In the intervening time, we did have the time while NRCS was going through review to apply for more funding, which we were awarded. That comes with the extra money that was approved by NRCS comes with a 25% match from us. We still have to make up that bit of that. But we have been approved for the full cost of that, the bid through there with our 25% match in there. And yeah, I could go over the locations if you all are interested in looking at that more specifically. Is there interest in that, you think? So like the mayor mentioned, these are all on private property, and NRCS is the National Resource Conservation Service.
And the intent, I believe, in granting us this money is to give us money so that we do have the ability to make some improvements in the creek or on the creek banks on private property, which we don't usually have that ability. And why they would want to do that is because it helps them, the federal government, cut back on flood claims as well going forward. So as operating as an insurance company, it's a good thing for them as well. So this is really good. And we've heard that Price is looking at getting some big grants as well from NRCS. This is a really good thing. I want to say, one good thing about this bid is that even though we went back and had to go through another process with NRCS, the Bay Brothers, which is a local contractor who we use quite a bit, was gracious enough to honor their original bid, so that we didn't have to go back out to bid for this, which I believe is saving us money. So we're getting a lot more done because of that. So we really appreciate that from our partners.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
So did I hear correctly that not all the private property owners are on board? Is that?
We had,
working with some?
no, I'm sorry. Yeah. We had one location where the Gabion basket wall would have impacted 3 property owners. One of those property owners decided that they did not want it. A second one was, I'll say, ambivalent about it. If we could have maybe made promises that I'm not exactly comfortable making to them about, saving their trees and things like that. And then a third property owner had some concerns, but was otherwise somewhat willing to work with us. At this point, enough time has passed that we're going to reapproach them just to give them the chance to opt in again. We have pulled the one of the 3 that didn't want anything to do with it. We've removed that from the plans already. And then the remaining 2, we're going to approach them again, and give them a chance to opt in.
And because of this increase in the funding, we do have the ability to fund that if they do opt in.
Yeah. Okay. So it's fine if they opt in.
Yes, it is fine.
Yeah. So what happens with those properties if a couple of properties have Gabion baskets and then there's like this big gap, could that be detrimental to those properties who have it, I'm just kind of curious, like, is there any liability that the city would assume, or could the city turn over liability to them? Be like, hey, we're trying to fix this, trying to help you fix this, something happens.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And in this case, the Gabion baskets would have tied into our road bridge that's nearby, and it will not be able to do that. I'll kind of go out on a limb here, and I can't predict the future, but in my opinion, this location is less likely to cause an issue like that. The slopes are a little gentler. The trees that are there, the person that did object because of the trees are actually doing a good job right now of holding the slope together. So all that being said, is there more of a risk? Yes. It's of all of the locations, though, it's the least that I'm concerned with.
And one thing about this project, correct me if I'm wrong, is that the Gabion baskets provide scour protection, not necessarily provide like a wall to direct the water. If the water comes in this direction, what these Gabion baskets would do is prevent the water from scouring further towards these private properties, basically towards their homes.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't be routing any water towards anybody or anything like that. And if one of the people decide not to do it, our engineers still have to buy off, and they have to stamp that saying that the plan that they're proposing isn't going to cause more damage or more harm to these other people, that it'll work with these people. It may not be perfect, because maybe perfect would have been having the Gabion baskets all the way down, but we'll work with the existing trees and the root structures that they already have to hopefully help them complement the wall, complement those, and maybe make things a little bit better, not worse.
Do they have to be on private land? Can they be put right on the edge of between where private land ends and the creek?
It's really a factor of how the creek has evolved and where the scour is at this point. So one of these properties that we're talking about, 2 years ago when this project started, the walls were in one location, planned in one location, And after the floods, you know, and after different things happen and the creek does its thing, they actually move just a little bit. So, so it's a function of where the creek is and not necessarily boundaries of property or property lines. So in this situation where we're talking about now, it just happens to be that everywhere that we need to do this is on private property. But if we could do it on public property, it would be a lot easier because then we don't have to get the easements. A lot of these we're working off of licenses, which we have to go back in the future and get easements if we want to have future access to those things. And so anyways, to answer your question, if we could put them on public property, that would be our first choice. But in these cases, they all belong on private property.
Yeah.
And I can speak for experience in our neighborhood. We've lost 30 or 40 feet of private property to, you know, 4 years of flooding. So it's pretty significant.
Yeah, but so like, where that is, would you guys be able to regain some of that?
No, I
real
don't
estate
think that's, no, I think we'd actually maybe even lose a little bit more as they anchor these things.
But it would mitigate, hopefully mitigate against future ones.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So my next question was, and someone asked me this today, was like Rotary Park, you know, or that section there, will Rotary Park be closed during the time that they are doing this?
Good question.
Yeah, so we planned Rotary Park to be the staging area for it. So we are going to have to access off of Mill Creek Drive and through Rotary Park. So there will be, I'll say, limited closures. We should be able to keep portions of the park open depending on where the work is happening and where the staging is happening. We've kind of planned an area for that. Typically, you know, when we go out to bid, we work with the contractors. If they have concerns that they're not going to be able to do this, that, or the other, then we try to work with them there. But so far as we can tell right now, we have an entry planned through the east end of Rotary, sort of, coming down in and staging down as close to the creek as possible. We'll likely have to, and we actually went through this process when we thought we were about to award last time, of closing reservations for some portions of the park. So we will have to go through that process again. Yeah.
Do you foresee like damaging like the sidewalks through there or anything, or?
That's always a possibility. We have seen a little bit of that in the past. The best we can do there is kind of keep it limited and repair it when we do break it. Yeah.
But the baskets are only gonna be on the other side, right?
Correct. Yeah.
I want to say the Shire. But I will.
You just
I will.
Right, too late.
Because I know like the other side of the bank, a lot of people like to walk down there and play on that side of the bank, which is pretty nice. So
it's got really nice. Yeah, and correct, this is a 100-day, a 3+ month project.
We have 100 days built into the contract right now. That is quite fast.
It seems really fast.
Yeah, so we may have to end up extending that.
Okay.
I don't like to mention that too much beforehand, you know, because we're aiming for a finish date. But you know, occasionally we do find ourselves in the situation that we're extending the contract when they are legitimate delays.
Absolutely. Okay.
So if the one section where those homeowners have decided that they decide not to do it, can we take those funds and do another section down lower, add on to it, or do we need to kind of just shell it and then something different down there?
Yeah, we would have to just forego those funds at this point. It's, you know, we could certainly bring it up to NRCS, but as long as the reviews take, that's unlikely. I think.
Yeah, if it's not in these plans, it's unlikely to be added just because of the review process being so onerous.
Right. Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a couple. So you mentioned, I should ask this earlier, but what was the engineering estimate for this?
It's 1.7 million, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, that's much closer.
Yeah.
And then, so this is, and I know that for flooding, we talk a lot about how we start closest to where it starts, fix as we go along. Wondering if there are additional phases of this, because this goes basically to 400 East, and or, you know, we're doing this, and then how are we starting to transition to lower areas of the creek? Is that going to be through NRCS or
other.
Just addressing other problem areas in the creek sort of thing. Yeah. We could certainly pursue NRCS funding in the future. The specific program that we were awarded in this case is the Emergency Watershed. The P there, I think, is program EWP. They typically will not award for longer term planning. The idea here is that there was active scouring that we're mitigating. But they do have other grant programs that may suit a longer term sort of planning.
Great. In the remaining portion is 100 West down to
Yeah.
100 West, and that's kind of a lot of open space right there. So the risks are not as great for that area, I think.
Well, we have one big section from 4th East to 100 West as
Right.
well, and that is in the planning process right now. The bridge is part
Right,
of that,
right.
and then there's a lot of bank work that we're looking at right now as well that'll need to be done. This certainly is far from a fix, and the way that Mother Nature works, you can't really fix it, right? We're definitely trying to mitigate as much as possible, and you're right, we'll just keep on moving down and try to get as much mitigated as we can. And we definitely still have several studies in process that haven't even identified what the cost will be for those improvements, but that is coming.
Anybody else? All right, I'll ask for a motion to consider contract award to the Bay Brothers Construction in the amount of $1,997,770.01 for the 2022 NRCS EWP Mill Creek Bank Protection Construction Project.
I can make that motion.
Motion by Colin,
I'll second it.
seconded by Jason. Discussion, Colin.
None.
Jason?
No.
Anybody else?
No.
All those in favor? Do I have to do a roll call?
I think so.
All right. Caitlin?
Aye.
Colin?
Aye.
Connie?
Aye.
Luke?
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Council.
All right, next up, 6.2, consideration of a contract award to A1 Abatement in the amount of $79,855 for the complete abatement and disposal of asbestos containing materials and structure demolition services at 737 Mountain View Drive.
I'll go ahead and make the motion.
Worry. But you all know what this is about. Do you want a presentation at all?
You've been here all night, so you might as well. Yeah.
Sure. Well, it's very brief and not a presentation really, but just speaking to the sensitivity of a subject like this. This is not always an exciting or great thing, but it is really important. So as a part of this process, as you've identified the information in the packet, this has been an ongoing and long-standing a situation that we've been trying to really, with all sensitivity, coordinate with the property owners. It's maneuvered to a point that we're advancing with the abatement of that process. We've really tried to extend ourselves. So the team behind this, the building team, compliance team, recorder's office, and public works has really stepped up to try to make things happen. So we are fortunate that we've been able to, with this bid process, get something we're really happy with to actually engage and advance this project. So that's maybe I'll leave it just that.
Any questions?
No. Well, no.
Okay, Dad. The only one I had was in real language that people can understand. What is the contractor going to do to protect the other residents and the people around there while they're abating that?
Sure. To the specifics of how they're going to manage that demolition, they're coordinating. I don't want to call our building official up, but they're going to be coordinating with our building official, agents from the state that are specifically designed around management of asbestos. And I believe we'll have an agent from the state there during that whole process. Unless I'm saying something very wrong. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, there are on-site supervision elements that will ensure that.
Practices, but I just
That's right.
wanted to make sure that people knew that
Correct.
the neighborhood will be looked after.
That's right.
So there aren't any more questions.
I do have a
Sorry,
especially
I would have asked this question either way, but especially given the photos that we were given, do you have an update on Walnut Lane demolition?
I'll address that
Okay,
later.
great.
All right, any other questions?
I want to make a motion.
All right, Jason,
I move to award the contract for complete abatement and disposal of asbestos containing materials and structured demolition services at 737 Mountain View Drive to A1 Abatement in the amount of $79,855 and authorize the mayor to sign the contract.
motion by Jason,
can second
second
that.
by Colin. Any further discussion, Jason?
No, I just want to say thank you. This has been a long process. It's been a process since, I got on city council, and it was something that, I feel like that you guys have handled very well. You worked very well with, the homeowners, trying to get them, to take care of this. And I also think that as Moab City and for the residents, this is very appropriate what we are doing. We've had residents come in and complain that shingles are blowing off. That this house is a nuisance and a hazard to the local residents in this area. And so while it's not pretty, of us saying like, hey, we're having to take this on because someone else didn't tear this house down on their own. We were able to do this to ensure the safety of the neighbors around. And I think that that's a big part of this. And I'm very, very happy about this. Some of these neighbors I've been in contact with them continually, and I know that everybody in Mountain View is ready for this to be taken care of. And I'm glad that we're stepping in to help make that happen.
Colin?
And the price is very acceptable for what's happening. So thank you so much.
Anybody else from the council? Any idea when the demolition will begin?
We'll coordinate with A1 and pick a date. We'll let the neighbors know.
Okay.
Pretty imminent to a pre-construction meeting, and that's where I think we'll through the contract determine a lot of those things. But,
Okay, good. All right, great to make sure the neighbors know that this is happening.
I think it's also too, I just want to point out, like, once it is kind of torn down, it becomes this dirt lot, like making sure that it doesn't become like this weed infested, thing that.
How does ownership? It still is private property.
Okay.
Once
They
we've
still
abated
own it.
this, it is private property. So it's, we're not going to be mowing it ourselves and things, but we do know who the owners are. If we have to abate it again, I guess we'd have to do it again, but it doesn't become our property.
Is there a lien then on that property?
There is a lien on the
Okay.
property, yeah. It doesn't become our property.
Got it.
Just have a lien on
All right, we have a motion made by Jason, seconded by Colin. I'm gonna do another roll call. Caitlin?
Aye.
Colin?
Aye.
Tawny?
Aye.
Luke?
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Great, yay.
it. Hey,
Yeah.
Corey, very nice elk.
Did you bring it in?
Great.
I saw a picture online and I've never seen Corey smiling so
Oh,
big. Yeah.
Really?
Want to know, is he going to share?
All right, let's move on. Item number 6.3, consideration of a cooperation agreement between the city of Moab and Rim to Rim Restoration for implementation of the Community Wildlife Defense Grant Moab Valley Fire Hazard Reduction Project. And Michael?
Yeah.
you're-
So just really quickly, this is a project you've been hearing about for a long time. Rim to Rim is our partner on this, and the fire department as well. We were awarded through this grant that they received. We were awarded $653,000 for labor and other qualified expenses like materials and other things leading up to and required for doing construction or doing these projects, plus $91,000 for equipment rentals and things like that. We have budgeted this money within our budget for this fiscal year because we knew this was coming. There was a little bit of a lag because of the loss of a lot of grants. This grant was never at risk, apparently. This is one of the ones that just kept on going through. So we're really excited to get this going. I've been working very close with Rim to Rim Restoration. This will fund an employee for 4 to 5 years. We're already partly into the first year, but this will employ someone in the Public Works Department who will be working on our fire fuels on properties that we own, and then working with Rim to Rim. This will also help support equipment that we've talked about, which includes the skid steer with the head, the mulcher head, and which is on order and it's going to be here at some point. We're going to put it to use as soon as possible, and also share that piece of equipment with our partners, including the fire department and Rim to Rim Restoration, to make sure that we get the most use out of that possible. And then, so we're just recommending approval of that. Sophia's here from Rim to Rim if you have any questions for them, but we're just recommending approval, hoping to get going on this and get that person hired.
Questions?
So the 653,000 is over 5 years, so it's about 130,000 per year.
Yeah, but it's going to be shortened, so we're going to get a little bit more per year because it's not quite 5 years anymore.
Okay.
So.
Cool. Any other questions?
I can make a motion. I move to approve that Moab City Council approve the cooperative agreement between the City of Moab and Rim to Rim Restoration for participation in the Community Wildfire Defense Grant.
Great,
I'll
thanks.
second that.
All right, motion by Colin, second by Tawny. Discussion, Colin?
None.
Tawny?
No.
Anybody else? All
I-
those,
I want to drive the mulcher for free on weekends.
okay, if you do it behind.
I
my-
do too.
We got a lot of debris behind my house. that needs-
Perfect.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Very good. Thanks, Sophia. Okay, moving on. We have some city manager update.
Oh, yeah. Got a few items for you. So I'll start off with an exciting one. City of Moab has been named the 2025 Energy Champion Award winner by the Utah Association of Energy Engineers for our leadership in sustainability, energy efficiency, and dark sky initiatives. The award's going to be presented in October this month, and we're going to have Alexi go up and receive that. This has everything to do with all the work that Alexi and her team has been doing, but also give credit to the planning department for the ordinances and the planning commission and everybody who has worked on this. So this is really cool to be recognized like this, especially when our staff just returned from the Mountain Towns Conference where we're talking about energy efficiency and goals for upcoming. I think it's 2030 is what we're looking at. So the police department just hired a new officer.
Michael, what was that? What was that award called?
It's called the 2025 Energy Champion Award, and it's from the Utah Association of Energy Engineers.
Okay, thank you.
They basically run everything. So it's a big deal. So, okay, so we just hired a new police officer. Is that right, Lex? Local police officer, sending them through post. We've had luck with that in the past, so we're really looking forward to having more people who really are familiar and passionate about this community working on the police department and growing up through the ranks. So that's really cool. We applied for TRT funding this year through the county for the repair and remodeling of the Swanee Park bathrooms. We're also including in that some ADA accessibility, and we're looking at the potential. I won't get into too much detail, but some really good improvements there, improving ADA accessibility, and also just cleaning them up and making them more resilient and easier to keep clean. Park bathrooms are a constant issue. It's for everybody, everywhere. Not only do they cost a ton of money, they're hard to keep up, and there's a lot of maintenance involved in them. So we do want to keep those up. We want to make them better, and this grant would help us do that. And I'll leave it at that for that, and we'll see what happens with the award. So it's $200,000. All right, next thing, the structural evaluation of the MRAC is moving forward. If you recall, there was a budgeted amount for the MRAC to come up with the plans that we need to address the major issues at the MRAC. And of course, the MRAC is the swimming pool for people watching. So we do have some major construction or structural issues there that we do not have plans right now to fix. So McKinstry Engineering or McKinstry, they do engineering, but McKinstry, they're also doing our energy stuff. They are going to be awarded a bid, consulting contract to go in and prepare, do evaluations and prepare plans for us so that we can go out to bid and get the MRAC fixed. This will address everything from the major structural issues to minor cosmetic issues to electrical issues, just all the things that the energy audit didn't address when they went through and did that energy audit. So we're looking forward to getting that started. I think the contract is going to be signed any second now, as soon as I get to it, and then we're going to get going on this. And we definitely appreciate our partnership with McKinstry because they've been so quick at getting all this stuff in and getting it going. I did want to just talk about the cleanup for Walnut Lane really quick. I was out there, I guess it's been 3 weeks now. I took out our, our strategic initiative folks from the front office here, Alexi and Savannah. And I showed the project to them and they weren't too familiar with the project, but there definitely is a mess out there that needs to be fixed. Now there's a couple of reasons for that. There are some things that need to be cleaned up. There are trailers, there are piles of debris. There are trailers out there that are completely whole and need to still be demolished. There is asbestos in some of those trailers, so it's a little bit harder process to get those done. Our staff was doing the cleanup and they did a really good job of doing the cleanup, but unfortunately they reached the limit that they had for time and different things like that. And it has sat for just a little while. It sat a little bit longer than I'm comfortable with. So I've asked our staff to work and try to get this thing moving forward so that we can get this cleaned up as soon as possible. We accept the responsibility for this property and getting this cleaned up. But I look at these pictures and I think, this place definitely does need to be cleaned up. That trailer isn't that much different than it was 2 years ago, except there was
lived there.
Yeah. So we did create some mess piles and things like that were getting cleaned up. But anyways, we're working on that. And I've asked Alexi, who, as you know, heads up strategic initiatives, to really push this forward and make this a priority to get this finished. I just checked the budget to ensure that I'm correct. And we did budget $150,000 to finish this project, to get this cleaned up. So we do have the resources to do it. I'll provide you regular updates on this going forward.
Great.
Those are all the.
Anything? All right. Thank you. Moving on. Council reports. Tawny, we'll start with you.
Okay, I don't have a whole lot, but on the 25th, on what was the last month, September 25th, I attended a benefit meeting with Luke and the mayor, and Michael joined us just to discuss employee benefits and how we want to move forward with those. And I think we made some good progress and some good decisions. So more to come on that. On the 9th, I attended a Canyonlands Healthcare Special Service District. Most of our discussion centered on our 25-26 budget. And where the district needs to focus our attention with unknown budget cuts or whatever's going to happen. But in the staff reports, the staff at the care center is doing a really good job of updating the facility, replacing things that need to be replaced, keeping the residents safe. And there was no COVID and no flu at our last meeting. So for October, that's pretty amazing for a care center. And I had to leave a little bit early, but then some of the other discussion was about Prop 13. So I'll let you talk about that since I left before that. And I think that's about it.
Thank you. Jason.
So on 9/25, I attended a Los Colinas walkthrough tour with there's some county commissioners there and then some other people from other areas, and we got a great tour of the area and saw kind of what they've done and where, what they've done with this, it used to be a pile, a super fun site, or was what's that?
So what was that you were just?
There's the Los Colinas
You
tour
went to
in
the,
Grand Junction.
very good, good.
And it was good to see like how they're making it work, how they've created a park that's a gathering place, but also have networked some commercial properties in there, and just things that they've done. It's kind of some of the challenges that they've encountered and how they got through it. So which was really good to see as the county and the city collaborate on on our side, on the Optra side and stuff. So that was great. 10-6, I attended an airport board meeting where there's a lot going on at the airport these days. They're paving some new taxiways, which will allow access for more hangars. There's people who want to build hangars out of the airport. However, there was no access to them, no asphalt or taxiways to add. So they're kind of doing that. And I think that there's quite a few people that are waiting in the wings for this to get done to start construction. And so I think that that's really good for the airport. They also talked about how the government shutdown and how payments could stop for funding the EAS, the AEAS contract that we have with Contour. And Steve Gleason, the airport director, has met with Contour and with the county, and they've all agreed to keep the planes coming in, and even though there's no funding. So I think that's a really good thing with how busy we are. 10-10, I attended the Grand County High School homecoming parade, and the reason why I bring that up is because it's a great community event, and it was amazing to see Moab's, how much like the police department and stuff and city workers, everybody contributed to making sure that roads are closed off and that everybody was safe on that parade route. It was an excellent job, and it was amazing. So today I attended also, sorry, 9/29 I attended an EMS board meeting, and we're kind of talked about the needs, and with Prop 13, and they're in the process of not really knowing how to budget, due to not knowing anything until after the election. So there's a lot of nervousness there about how to proceed if Prop 13 doesn't pass, and things that can be done to to push for letting people know how beneficial it will be to our community, and then also apprehension as if what happens if it doesn't pass. So, today I attended Moab Travel Council Advisory Board meeting, and where we talked a lot about we met with Camp 4, who's the marketing agency, one of the marketing agencies that's here. They're actually in town, and they are going around and talking to a lot of businesses. They're talking to tourists. They're talking to locals, trying to get a feel for exactly what tourism is in this town, what people hate about tourism, what people love about tourism, how it affects businesses. So I think they're doing a really good job of trying to integrate, the marketing into something that, that everybody can agree with on some sort of thing that, and so it'll be interesting to see what they come up with in the next couple of years. They did discuss the ask that the city had, which was for $200,000 to help, redo the bathrooms at Swanee Park. And basically, they approved mitigation funds, and now it goes to the county commission to see what they want to fund. So they didn't approve or recommend any of the funds that were given to them. But it was great to see there was probably 7 or 8 applications or requests, for those funds. And so it'll be interesting to see how the county commission prioritizes those.
So the board didn't recommend approval of any of them? They just
No.
sent them all to the commission
Yes.
because the commission makes a decision anyway?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, that's exactly. That's all I have.
Thanks,
How-
Jason.
How much is that grant pool that they're allocating the TRT?
So this is like coming up with the it's 56% of TRT funds can be used for mitigation, and one of the roles of the Travel Council Advisory Board is to recommend how those funds get spent. And so the board can say like, hey, we want 100% on promotion, or we want X amount, you know. So basically what they recommended to the county commission is that they spend 56.6 or whatever that number is on mitigation. And so it came up with a amount of about $4 million, I think, you know, give or take a couple $100,000, you know, is right in there. However, you know, you look at the applications there, the requests that they got, you know, the sheriff's department's request was for 5 million, you know, I think is what it's in there. And so, and then, you know, like OSTA requested funds, Moab City, solid waste, you know, so there's more requests than there are funds. EMS requested 1.9 million, you know, and so I think the travel council kind of felt that the final decision is going to come to the commission, you know, and so they just recommended the 5.6, which allocated the 4 million and change or whatever it was, you know, and they'll break it up from there. So, but it doesn't consider the grants that there's also grants that come from the state and there's a lot of no one really knows what's going on with that because it's the first year of that. So that probably won't be figured out until January, February.
Thanks. Is that it?
Yep.
Thanks, Jason. Caitlin.
Okay, I alas missed the Las Colonias tour. I was really bummed. I was out sick for about a week, so missed a few things. But on the 2nd, we had a Moab Area Housing Task Force meeting. Have continued to discuss creating this like housing pipeline, mostly basing that off of a lot of the work that Corey and Johanna have started. Trying to figure out how to expand that to the larger community and make that an evergreen resource. We, in relation with the local homeless council, have talked about the Utah action plan to address homelessness. Basically, Governor Cox in July sent a letter to the Utah Homelessness Advisory Board asking for homelessness services to come into alignment with President Trump's executive order about law and order. So there's been a lot of comments and circulation about how that's going to impact homelessness services. And so we are writing a letter, signing on to a statewide letter, and are providing some additional comments about how some of that might impact rural, potentially, especially focusing on the way that homelessness services are structured within the state. And there's a lot of focus about building a central campus up in Salt Lake City. So wanting to emphasize that homelessness occurs everywhere in the state, including communities like ours, which are already underrepresented. So there's that. And then the task force is also working on a draft updated interlocal agreement, which created the task force, trying to formalize kind of us as an entity. That agreement was from 2009. So refocusing on who those partners are, kind of what that looks like now, and implementing housing goals. So I'm sure a lot of that will come to the council soon. On the 6th, I attended a Utah Renewable Communities Board meeting. They are providing updates. They're kind of starting to transition towards getting ready for program implementation next year. So we've been talking about it for years and years, and it seems like it's finally going to happen. So they're updating their website. There's a lot of conversation about updating low-income housing plan or low-income plans related to this, and how communities will start doing outreach. And the program is still going through the process. There is a public hearing on December 16th at the Public Services Commission. And they anticipate that program approval could happen as early as January 2026, which means that us as a city would have to implement that program within 90 days. They have asked all of the partnering entities to provide an update to the elected bodies in the community. So I know that Alexi and Michael are working on that. They will be able to explain more than I have in any of my updates. So that'll be interesting. And then finally, the state released a draft version of the Utah Strategic Housing Plan a couple weeks ago. I have dipped my toes into reviewing it. It's like 100 pages long, but we will be starting to talk about that in LPC, in a housing subcommittee for LPC tomorrow, moving forward. So once I get through that a little bit more, I'll send you more information. That's it for me.
Thanks, Caitlin. Colin.
On the 29th of September, I attended the first meeting of a group that's been established to start looking at bike access into Arches National Park, which is a really exciting conversation to have initiated. And then I, soon after that, attended the chamber debate. And on that note, I just want to say, because I was called out tonight by a community member and in my mind misquoted, you know, that this election there has been a lot more negativity than I experienced in my campaign a couple of years ago. And, you know, I definitely understand that I signed up for this role and you know, and so I can perfectly handle that. But I've also seen a lot of that negativity extended towards city staff, beyond the council, beyond the mayor, and to city staff. And I just want to say on the record how inappropriate I find that. And I just want the staff at the city to know how much we support them and how positive we feel and about the work that they're doing, making the city a better place for all of our residents and our visitors. And so hopefully we move beyond this very soon. And then today I attended a trail mix meeting where we had two public comments, Lex, that things that Lex and I and others have talked about in depth many times, but it seems to be rearing its ugly head again. One about e-motos on the Parkway, a group of seniors who have decided they're not willing to walk in the Parkway anymore, and then also safety concerns in the area of the Parkway by the Robin Brough Skills Park. So we'll continue. That is, I can't wait to see him out there, Lex.
So
I'm
people
surprised.
didn't hear what the chief said, but the police department just got 2 e-bikes. So they
Fully decked out. So
fully
great.
decked out. So watch out. there.
And the community is looking forward to seeing those e-bikes on the Parkway.
Will they have lights on them?
Yeah.
They will?
Yeah. It's awesome.
Wow.
I'm surprised you haven't seen Monty on it already, actually.
Oh, I can't wait.
He's
Yeah.
been out a lot, yeah.
They have high bars.
Yes,
then
they do.
The other really exciting thing that happened at the trail mix meeting today is we just initiated brought in our newest member of the trail mix committee. Baby Arthur was just awarded his first bicycle by the trail mix committee. So we're really
And helmet safety.
What's that? Yeah, he can. So we're really looking forward to a long relationship future with that young man. So that's it for me.
Thank you.
Yeah. Shockingly, not the first group of people in the past week that are already trying to get my son on bikes.
He has to crawl first.
I know, we're getting way ahead of ourselves. I know.
They love that baby. Love that baby.
So yeah, still kind of just like assimilating back into the community, having a lot of like doctor's appointments and like early intervention like meetings, and we finally just scheduled the next surgery for the end of the month, so kind of getting ready for that. So haven't done too much. I did meet with the mayor and Pawnee regarding the employee benefits. I agree. I think we had a really productive discussion. And then I've just kind of been attending community events with the family now that we can actually be in the community. So participated in the art walk this past Saturday. Went to the Outer Bike volunteer event 2 Fridays ago where I was told to come to Trail Mix because there is a special surprise waiting for us. But the Outer Bike volunteer event involved us building 50 bikes for kids that were going to go down to children on the reservation. So that was like a really fun experience to be a part of. Made it through most of the Leaving a Trace play. Unfortunately, we forgot some baby bottle parts and had to end up leaving. And then, yeah, attended the chamber debate. And yeah, I kind of want to echo what Colin said. I think like people get very passionate about this community, and I appreciate the passion, but sometimes the way in which that passion is funneled, I do agree is inappropriate and misdirected a lot of the times. But yeah, I just hope people can kind of find the source of that, which is a love for the community, and let that love drive kind of their actions and behavior. But
Thanks, Luke.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure.
I just want to say one thing about the people who, about the citizens, first citizens we heard about the UTV noise that they are out there. It didn't fall on deaf ears, and that they were heard, and that we will. It's an ongoing thing as a council that we talk about often, and that we need to try to find a better way of dealing with it. But it is. It is on our radar. It is something that we do discuss and work on that. So,
Joette, I missed one meeting on the 25th. I also went to Housing Authority. So it was just a general business meeting. Kind of got an update on Arroyo Crossing and other projects. So it wasn't very long.
Thank you. All right, my report. I've been attending every local event that the city has sponsored this fall, and boy, oh boy, what a great community we have. You know, it seems as though the fall is our time for events, in the spring is the tourist time for, you know, a lot of events that bring in people. In the fall, it's the events that bring in us. So it's been a pleasure to get out there and see all the good things that we're doing. I attended a CERTA meeting last week. One of the more interesting things that came up is the comprehensive economic development strategy plan. We'll be hearing more about that. I think it's really something that we might want to get involved in for our economic development for the future. And also there's a regional opportunity council. I'm not quite sure what that's going to be, but both of these are to support our economic development in Southeast Utah through the Governor's Office of Planning and Budget. Attended the Canyonlands Healthcare Special Service District meeting. Don't have much to add about that. The district will be writing a letter to the editor this week in support of Prop 13, which is the rural health sales tax. Read a proclamation at the Indigenous Peoples Day event yesterday at the Mark. It was put on by the school district and the Native American Club. Very well attended. They had fry bread and Navajo tacos. They made skirt. I mean, it was really, really lovely. Council on Aging meeting on Monday, and I was there to discuss really the MAPS project with the folks that are on that council, and how we're going to be moving forward with the completion of the MAPS project. Had a meeting with the Department of Energy to discuss the upcoming 16 million ton tile ceremony, which will be held December 3rd at the Mark. And it's a real big milestone because that will be the last tonnage of dirty tailings that'll be moved off the bank of Colorado. There's another 1 million tons of debris and that kind of surface below the surface stuff, but the majority of the tailings will be moved, and we'll be celebrating that on December 3rd. Let's see, attended a Rotary meeting. They're doing a lot of good stuff. I don't usually go to Rotary, but I was invited to come, and they're doing some really cool stuff with Ukraine and helping out the Ukrainians with the struggles that they're having and the refugees that are moving off to Poland. So very interesting, and something that I totally support. I'll be meeting with you all. Sasha will be sending out a request to meet in the next couple of weeks for us to just get updated again. And I believe there's going to be a Christmas party for December 12th. More to come on that. And I would like to get a sense from you guys, probably when we meet, what your December schedule is. I know some of you might be traveling in December. You know, we'd like to have our annual Christmas party. It'd be great if we can all, this group, not the staff group, but the council's Christmas party, Christmas dinner. So I'd like to get a sense of what your schedules are like so we can get that scheduled as well. What's that?
I'll be sure to stay on my site.
Well, no, you're right. Exactly. No. Anyway, that's all I have. And we do need to go into closed session. So I will ask for a motion to discuss reasonably imminent or pending litigation.
So moved.
To
Discuss reasonable or imminent pending in litigation.
all right. Motion by
No.
Tawny,
second.
second by Luke. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes
Say aye.
5-0.
I'm too.
I'm morally retarded.